If I had to lose 20 pounds, here's exactly what I would do. I've actually scratched that. I've lost 20 pounds. Here's exactly what I did. Now, in this video, I'm gonna talk you through exactly what I did and this exact same protocol that's worked, not just for me, but 100 of my clients who've obviously been able to lose the weight, but more importantly, keep it off. So if you're someone that's looking to drop fat, get in the shape of your life, but more importantly, not just get in shape, but stay in shape. And when I say stay in shape, like, you know, if you're borderline looking for Ozempic allegations, and when I say Ozempic, just, you know, not looking scrawny, but with muscle, then this video is for you.
What would you say is the main difference that you've seen in the mirror since starting versus now?
Obviously, the way you look, the comments you get, the compliments you get, the questions which come up usually, which is like Ozempic, yeah, and you're like, no.
Ozempic excuses, you know, that one's there.
Yeah, exactly. So usually that's the comment you get. You're like, oh, Ozempic, yeah, and you're like, no, you know, doing it the old school way. I think the good feeling is kind of like you've figured out the key, and so you can repeat it again and again.
I'll be talking you through the 8-step process that's helped me and my clients not just get in shape, but more importantly, stay in shape. Step 1, you need to work out your calories. Now, as far as your calories are concerned, that is the most important aspect of the fat loss equation, okay? I want to hear insulin and all this, no. Calories, okay? Calories in, calories out, okay? Now, that is a basic starting point, but the reality is that is a starting point that's gonna help and be beneficial to anyone watching this video, because that is going to be the limiting factor to whether you lose weight or not. So how do you work out your calories? Well, you wanna times your body weight in pounds by 14, or times your body weight in pounds by 16 if you're very active. That will give you a number. Do not exceed that number, okay? If you don't know what your weight in pounds is, because you use kg, you can convert it, okay? But you want to times your body weight in pounds by 14 or 16. Step 2, you need to calculate your protein. Now, protein is going to be massively important because the goal is to not just lose weight, the goal is to drop fat and build muscle. If you want to be able to build muscle in this process and maintain the muscle that you have, you need to make sure you're eating enough protein. How much protein? Again, your body weight in pounds, times that by 0.7. And that will give you a number. Make sure you're to hit that number or exceed it. It doesn't matter if you exceed that number because protein is very filling. And as you're on this journey of fat loss, you want to be as full as possible because you are eating less. And if you're eating less, you're going to be hungry. Protein is going to be one of those important things that's going to help you stay satiated. And it's going to help you build muscle and maintain the muscle that you have, especially on this fat loss phase. Step 3, quit alcohol. Okay? If you are serious about fat loss and you're serious about getting in shape, you want to quit alcohol. It has 0 ROI. Okay, 0 return on investment. Okay, there might be some short-term benefits, okay, but those short-term benefits are short-lived in the grand scheme of things, okay? If you think about alcohol, it has lots of toxins in it, so it impacts your sleep. It makes it harder for you to build muscle because 1, it impacts your testosterone levels. It increases your cravings. Think about the last time, or at least if I think about the last time that I was having fast food, or at least McDonald's at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, it's usually after a night out, okay? You tend to make poor decisions when you've consumed alcohol because it increases your cravings. And if you're someone that's trying to achieve this fat loss goal, then you want to obviously manage your cravings because you want to make it easy for you to be in that calorie deficit that we spoke about in step 1. I, for one, don't drink alcohol anymore. I say I don't drink alcohol anymore. I think as of recording this video, I'm almost 100 days no alcohol. Previously, I had alcohol every now and then. And that's personally for me, I just don't really like the taste of alcohol. I drink to get drunk, if I'm very honest with you. So the reality for me, and maybe different for some of you who can obviously maybe have alcohol in moderation and you can still have alcohol and get to your goal. I'm just saying if you don't have a good relationship with alcohol, and when I say good relationship, if you're not someone that consumes it at a level that you think will allow you to get to your goal and you don't necessarily have all the side effects that I described, then, you know, have it in moderation. But if you are, then I'd say quit it, or at the very least limit it, which is what I try and do. So like I said, I'm 100 days clean and I pray that continues for as long as possible. Step 4, you want to stay active. When you're thinking about your goal of trying to drop fat, you want to obviously be in a calorie deficit. Now, the 2 easiest ways to do that, well actually the most easiest way to do that is your food, okay? So obviously eating less. That's going to be the biggest and the most influential aspect of the whole equation, okay? Even if you are doing 20,000 steps, but you're over consuming your calories, it's just going to make it harder and you're probably not going to see results. So food and nutrition, as I've obviously mentioned, the first 2 steps as far as calories are concerned, particularly, is going to be the biggest aspect. The next aspect is activity. You want to move more so you can obviously increase your energy expenditure, okay, your calorie expenditure. So I would aim for anything from 8 to 12,000 steps, okay? If you can get to 12,000 steps, that would be great in terms of obviously having that extra energy expenditure. 8,000 steps is also fine. If you're someone that struggles with that, I'd get a walking pad. Invest in a walking pad if you're someone that works from home, or if you're someone that's obviously at work. Now, if you can get a walking pad and use it at work, then happy days. If they think you're weird, then That's good to be weird, because that means you're different. And I guess if you're trying to watch this video, you're trying to be different and you're trying to make a change. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. If they don't allow you to have a walking pad, maybe get a desk, like a standing desk. That would be pretty useful, because obviously standing does allow you to burn more calories than sitting. If those two things are out of the equation, you're still struggling to hit your step target and your movement target, I would obviously try 30 minutes of cardio at the end of your workout. What kind of cardio can you do? Any sort of zone 2 based form of cardio. So that could be walking on a treadmill, on a Stairmaster, on an elliptical machine, on a row machine. I'm not entirely sure why people do the row machine. I find that a bit weird and uncomfortable, but listen, it's good to do. But you can add that as like a post-workout feature when you are training, and I'll cover training in a second. Step 5, meal structure, okay? This is probably one of the most important features when it comes to dropping the fat, but more importantly, keeping it off. There are 2 aspects to this. 1, protein. So as I talked about in step 2, when it comes to your protein intake, you want to try and manage that as much as possible. When I say manage that, you want to try and prioritize that, because protein will keep you full. And one of the biggest challenges and the biggest hacks that you're trying to do during this process, and why most people fail, is because they struggle with not overeating. They get too hungry, okay? And if you get too hungry and you eat too much, then, you know, calorie deficit, don't know why I did this cross, but you know what I mean, okay? So you want to front load protein at the start of the day. When I say front load protein, I'll put a PDF in the description with lots of like high protein meals that you can start the day with. Start with high protein meals, and obviously I'd say save your carbs towards like the later part of the day. Now carbs are not bad, they're fine. You can even have them at the start of the day. If you think about who's watching this video right now, if you're watching this video and you are fat, the likelihood is you are not overeating steak, chicken or fish. You are overeating stuff like bread, rice, pasta, the fats and fries and stuff like that. So what you want to do is you want to limit how much of those foods you're having at the start of the day. You want to start with lots of protein, so it's going to fill you up. You can obviously manage your energy levels, because protein is going to allow you to manage your energy levels, whereas carbs can obviously depend on the carbohydrate you have, and this is why I say stick with complex carbohydrates, which are slow releasing energies. You can obviously mess up your energy levels. So if you want to have like a consistent energy throughout the day, then I'd say start with some high protein, manage your carbohydrates levels, so have smaller portions, save them towards the later part of the day. I tend to do that, so obviously I like looking forward to eating rice at the end of the day. So if you're that person as well, then that's a good strategy to have as far as meal structure is concerned. The second part of meal structure is being consistent with your meals. Have the same foods all the time. The more you can get comfortable eating the same foods, the more it'll be easier for you to track what's going in your mouth, because you'll just know exactly what the calorie contents are, especially if you get better at tracking and you prioritize tracking at the start of your journey. And 2, just less thinking power. How many times have you just not known what to eat and you end up picking up what your colleague is eating, not knowing what to eat, or you know your partner's eating this and you've just gone, all right, let me have a bite of that. The more you can have the same meals on rotation, it makes it easier to 1, track, and 2, makes it easier for you to be led astray. Okay, when I say led astray, just eating foods that you shouldn't be eating, okay, which then obviously means that you're not necessarily within your calorie target. Step 6, training. You don't need to go to the gym 6 times a week. People often assume and link frequency to progress, and in many cases that's right. But the most important thing when it comes to the training equation is not how many times you're going to the gym, but what you're doing in the gym, okay? More isn't better, better is better. What do I mean by that? It's not about doing more workouts, it's just about doing better quality workouts. So I would say stick to 3 workouts a week. And what does better quality workouts look like? As long as you're going to the gym 3 times a week, even twice a week, and you are progressively overloading, meaning that you're doing more reps and more weight in those workouts and you're training hard, then you're good. That will get you to your desired goal. I would say about 90% of my clients, including myself, only train 3 times a week. So if you are doing a full body workout on a Monday, Wednesday and a Friday, you're good. You want to add some sports to that, a little bit of, you know, football, basketball, Pilates, wherever it might be, then you've got the training equation pretty much covered. So here's a sample of what a full body workout would look like. Again, I'll put a PDF to a full body workout split in the description to help you out. Thank me later. Step 7, tracking your progress. Now, when it comes to tracking your progress, there are different ways to track your progress. Now, the main way that most people use is the scales. And listen, don't get me wrong, if you're not seeing any change in the scales over a long period of time after being in a calorie deficit, you're probably not in a calorie deficit, okay? So you want to use the scales as a variable when it comes to tracking your progress, but you also want to use other variables. Variable number 1 would be measurements, okay? So you want to try and measure your arms, you want to measure your chest, your glutes and your waist. If your waist is getting smaller and all the other aspects are getting bigger, then you're probably onto something, okay? And that won't necessarily always reflect on the scales. So look at your measurements. The second variable would be pictures. I always get my clients to take a side profile, a front profile, and a back profile, because pictures and what you see in images will tell often a story that the scale won't, especially if you are building muscle whilst also dropping fat. The final variable is how you feel. And I'd argue this is the most important variable, okay? Are you feeling more confident, okay, when you are talking to people? Are you feeling more comfortable in your clothes? Are you feeling more energized? Those feelings supersede all others, okay? Because the reality is you are here not because of what you want to see on the scales, but because of what you want to see in the mirror and how you want to feel, okay? So have different ways of tracking your progress. Don't just stick to what you see on the scales. Step 8, sleep. Sleep is probably one of the most underrated, most important aspects when it comes to your overall fat loss journey. I, for one, have been someone who struggles with their sleep notoriously. I've sort of got it under wraps, but again, if I looked at all the other aspects of my life, sleep is one of the areas that I could definitely get better in. Now, I recommend for my clients to get 7 to 8 hours sleep. Getting enough sleep is super key. Why? Because if you're underslept, you're gonna have more cravings. It's gonna be harder for you to build muscle because the testosterone levels are gonna be lower. And more importantly, you're gonna be more inflamed. So you're gonna carry more water because you're gonna be more stressed. It just makes the whole fat loss process a lot more challenging. So you need to make sure you're getting 7 to 8 hours sleep. Put your phone away in another room if you have to. Lock your apps. There's apps that are designed to obviously lock in social media apps out. I think there's one called Opal, which you use. Again, it's not an ad, it's one that I use that helps me. Lock away and make it easy for you to wind down 2-3 hours before the end of the day, so it makes it then easier for you to sleep. Sleeping at a consistent time and waking up at a consistent time is super key, because that routine will set you up to be able to do all the other things, whether it's eating breakfast, whether it's training and so forth, okay? Bonus one, identity, okay? Now, the identity shift comes from ensuring that the language that you are using about yourself is reinforcing the version of yourself that you want to become, not who you was. What do I mean by that? As opposed to saying, I don't have time, say, I need to find a way. As opposed to saying, I'm just trying to lose weight, say, I'm trying to build a lifestyle. I'm exhausted, say, I just need to get it done. As opposed to saying, I want to look good, how about saying, I want to feel in control again? The language that you use about yourself is often going to reinforce the version of yourself that you want to become, okay? And often it's about, for many of you watching this, it's about reinforcing the version of yourself that you want to become. A lot of these words that you use often won't necessarily be intentional, but what you're trying to do is you're trying to shift your identity. When you shift your identity, all these things that are described that are tasks then become habits. And when it becomes a habit, it then becomes a lifestyle. And when it becomes a lifestyle, not only will you be able to lose the weight, but you'll be able to keep it off. So yes, that's it for me. Hopefully that's of help, and see you in the next one.